street saying. They don't want to be assimilated with China. And if I come here and say that, I've basically made 80% of the point. So you can all go and have a beer. No, I still have a couple of slides for you, and usually the clicker is my enemy, but let's see what it does today. So, aha. So I just thought, in case not everybody has been following the action with close sort of focus, I'll take you through a quick timeline. And when we talk about Hong Kong, we really have to start in 1997, because that's when the UK basically hands over Hong Kong to China. I'm not sure all government ministers are aware of that, but yes, we'll talk about trade internationally, but yes, that's what happened. And it happened under the principle of one country, two systems. Because basically all the parties involved wanted to maintain, saw the interest of maintaining this amazing financial place and cash cow that Hong Kong is. One country, two systems means that Hong Kong was to maintain a rule of law, free expression, free speech, and basically autonomy, besides for things like defense, etc. But there was an issue with that. And the issue is that those rights encapsulated in the basic law, which is basically a mini constitution, will expire. They were only for 50 years. And they will expire in 47, and therefore there's this sort of dark cloud hanging over Hong Kong, because people are thinking, well, what happens then when we really go back to China? So in 2010, things looked actually quite rosy. Donald Tsang became chief exec, and it seems like Beijing was actually supporting a move towards democracy. So it was promised that direct elections of the leader of Hong Kong will take place by 2017, and those of the legislators by 2020. However, in 2014 we have a complete reversal. So those who follow a little bit of politics, 2010 was Hu Jintao, but now we are under Xi Jinping. Not the biggest democrat, even by Chinese standards. And Xi Jinping basically declares that it will be the Chinese government and only the Chinese government that will decide who can run for chief executive. And that causes the first big democracy protests with about 100,000 people in the streets. It's called the Umbrella Movement, because a lot of people are out with these colorful umbrellas to fend against tear gas. So these are some images of the handover. Some parties were elated, and some a little bit less. It's Chris Patten, who's the governor of Hong Kong at the time. And this is the umbrella movement. So obviously it's a mass protest, but we also see that, I hope you can see that from the pictures, it's almost an atmosphere of a bit of a carnival, of a creative fest. So yes, protests, but it's hopeful. We're going towards democracy, hopefully. There's a lot of sort of literal and metaphoric color in here. And we'll see that this round of protest, this time around, was much more bleak, dystopian, in fact. So then we sort of fast forward to now, June 9th, and there's an extradition bill proposed. Actually, it was not about China in the beginning. It was based on a murder that happened in Taiwan. And the idea is that now we can extradite people to Taiwan, but also to China, which didn't make people happy at all. And we saw 1 million people march across Hong Kong. So then, into July, the clashes intensified. We now have rubber bullets fired and 45 people injured. June 14th, another series of violent, sorry, I think it's meant to be a later date, series of violent protests. And now the chief exec delays the bill. She doesn't cancel it, she delays it. And she apologizes. But that's not enough. So protest continues. We have a much mediatized rally at the airport. You might have seen images of it. And then big activism on August 5th, the general strike. Civil servants on the street this time, bonfires, 148 protesters arrested, and 800 rounds of tear gas fired. And finally, on September 4th, Carrie Lam announces the formal withdrawal of the bill. So she caves in. Is that enough? Did the protest stop? No. And why? So here's some images from this round of protests. As I said, much more dystopian and negative and quite violent this time. Or just the last one, I just want to point out, this was the what was going on at the airport, so with a tinge of sarcasm or humor. Sorry for the disturbance, just fighting for a home. So why did protests continue? Well, okay, she gave in to the first demand, but all the other ones are not answered. I mean, these young people want democracy. So the question is, what is going on in Hong Kong? Obviously there's a political movement, but there's more than that. And there's sort of an identity crisis going on. So this is a study done by the University of Hong Kong, and it shows that basically the yellow line, which are young people, they don't feel Chinese. They don't want to be part of China. So they say that there's a legal difference, social difference, you know, but they're very different from China. They talk about 150 years as a colony, not that they want to go back, of course, but it really changed their mindset. So it's really a question of identity. So since we're in a brand space here, one of the questions could be, so what did the brands do? Did they show any solidarity with these young people, with people in the street? And the simple answer is actually no. So there were some expressions of solidarity very locally. This is H&M store in Hong Kong. So the cashier wears this very emblematic now construction hat that a lot of protesters wore, and it says 35 or 36 rounds of bullets fired in Shenron. And another H&M store closed during the protest, and we have a little spontaneous post-it of support. But immediately H&M, so the headquarters of H&M immediately said, well, we support one country, one system policy. We hope that people can express themselves in a peaceful and reasonable fashion. Meaning, we still want a lot of money from the Chinese. So we're not showing solidarity. Then we have another brand, Pocari Sweat, the drink. They withdrew advertising from a local broadcaster, TVB, because they thought that the broadcasting was too China sympathetic, very biased, which was quite a brave move. But the first thing that happened is the Chinese girl group with the very catchy name GNZ48, which were Pocari Sweat's partner in China, immediately dropped the brand, and then Pocari Sweat China disowned the Hong Kong branch, the Hong Kong sister company. Another example, Yoshinoya, I don't know if you know that. Oops, sorry, didn't want to reveal it yet. So it's a fast food brand in Hong Kong, Japanese one. And a very smart young creative discovered that there's actually a funny sort of coincidence, and there's a play on word where the derogatory name for a policeman, Cantonese of course, is the same as this very appetizing fish stick. So he played with that in the ad. But he unfortunately forgot that his boss, Yoshinoya's CEO, is a card-carrying member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. And so he was immediately fired, and so was the agency. So unfortunately, brands didn't go very far in expressing solidarity. But we do have something else, which is a very prolific, very interesting, very rich visual expression during the protests. And I think it's very interesting to look at, also because I think we will definitely see it come back for social, maybe even for commercial purposes. So the first one are the Lenin walls. Lenin walls is something that started in Prague with the Velvet Revolution, and they were basically pictures and lyrics of the Beatles, and they were put up to show protest, to show an expression of activism. So here, no Beatles, no John Lennon, but just expression. And we found these spontaneously popping up all over Hong Kong. So this is the original one at the central government offices in Admiralty. And we have them on overpasses, we have them on the shop windows, they pop up, and also young people who spontaneously manage them. So they decide to take over a wall and make sure that it's not damaged and that it's kind of run properly. So another interesting phenomenon, we have a new language, a new slang erupt from these protests, which is Kongish. So Kongish is a mix of Cantonese and English, and it's Romanized, so it's all written in English. English. It's not something completely new, it's something that has been sort of a local expression. It even has its own Facebook page called Kongish Daily since 2016. But it really came to the fore with this protest because if you write things that don't make sense, actually, that are gibberish, and you write them in English, but they're actually Chinese, the trolls, you interrupt actually the trolls, the internet trolls, and Big Brother in China cannot catch you. So just to give you an example, for, one of the memes that have been trending is add oil in English, which means nothing in English. But in Chinese it's jiayou, and jiayou is basically, go for it, just do it. It's an expression of encouragement. So we have Kongish. We also have everything, the protests were not organized. There's no leader in this protest. It's completely democratic. And it was crowd action. It happened in a very self-organized kind of way through bulletin boards like this. So this is LI Hong Kong. I don't know if you know Reddit, but very similar principle. So people basically post what they think should happen, where a protest should be, what people should say, and then other users show their support by likes, or in this case pushes on this platform, and that's where the protest will happen. So we also have very, as I mentioned before, rich protest art, lots of posters, lots of trending images on social media, and what they're for. Well, of course, they put forward the points of view of the protesters, and they also want to galvanize supporters to go out on the streets. So this is one example. So this is about the 5 major demands, and the picture is actually taken out of a Reuters photo. This is a bit of a survival manual of how to survive in Hong Kong these days and all the paraphernalia that we need. And this one's quite an interesting one. So Be Water, it's a very highly trending meme at the moment in Hong Kong. As I said, the protests are completely spontaneous. It's about coming and going, appearing, disappearing, morphing, and getting away from the authorities that want to stop you. Now, I have this very silly habit, fair enough, I'm sorry, but I give it a prize in the middle of my talk to the one person who can tell me where this comes from, Be Water.
Bruce Lee.
Who said it first? Okay. Very good, so yes, Bruce Lee is obviously from Hong Kong, and this was, you get this box of Chinese tea. So this is taken straight off Bruce Lee and his life philosophy about defending yourself. Be water, be formless, be flexible. What else do we have? This what seems to be a very colorful and gay poster is actually very, very serious. This person in the middle wearing the yellow raincoat is the first suicide victim. So he fell to his death when he was trying to put up a banner. And this lady, Don't Shoot the Protesters' Heads, she was hit by a bullet in her eye. So that was taken up again in the protest art. So some of it is also an ongoing comment to what's going on. We also have a bit of posters that are very much influenced by Hollywood. So here we have Xi Jinping, Carrie Lam, and the chief of the police as action heroes. This one is a bit really reminiscent of album covers, actually. So The Last of Us with up there the Bohemia flower, which is symbol of Hong Kong, wilting away. And finally, Carrie Lam as Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Obviously, we're talking about the extradition bill. Different bill here. And these nice little action figures that were made by some craftspeople, also as an expression of solidarity, basically, with what's going on. But the most common form of art that we've seen is definitely sort of anime, which is very native and very familiar to people growing up in Hong Kong. So I'll play you this one, hopefully. Oops. So I need almost something that can, because it actually has a button on it, but ooh, the suspense.
We are a group of Hong Kongers who love our city. After our government ignored our voices and used excessive force to cool peaceful protesters, we are more determined to restate our family lands. 1. Full withdrawal
and they haven't backed down. So a lot of this art, or most of this art, is actually crowdsourced as well. So people will put it up on social media, on bulletin boards, and then people vote for it, like it, and the ones that like the most are distributed on the Lenin walls, on more social media. So all of this is very interesting in the way things are kind of led and distributed. So the empire strikes back. China didn't stay silent. They're also using visual arts and all sorts of cultural expressions to get across their point of view. It's very exciting. Go on now. So this is one of the cartoons that China put forward. So we see China depicted as this mother, this loving mother, and Hong Kong depicted as a wayward child. So first the child was abducted by evil UK, and then it's lured away with presents, and this, unthankful child is basically going away from the loving mother, China. Some other posters, which are not extremely sophisticated, basically talk about the police as a very positive force. We're protecting citizens, we are preventing the lack of order, and police is basically our heroes. We're preventing all these foreign powers of ripping Hong Kong away from us. And finally, what the Chinese government has been tapping into, and a lot actually lately, is music, and in particular rap. So we have this one rap group, CD Rev, Chengdu Revolution, and they've been propped up at the People's Daily, which is a national media in China, and the Communist Youth League for purposes of propaganda. So I will leave you with their rap song, which addresses this whole incident, this whole protest movement from a very Chinese point of view. And it's really striking, we had a quick conversation about this before, how different the points of view are from Hong Kong and from China. So I might need some help again to play this. Some very cutting-edge rap here coming from China.
British are asking of China what you would never give them by the British. They never gave you universal suffrage. They put it as an aspiration in the basic law, but they never gave it to you.
Hey, democracy, why you always have to somewhere so hard to see? So many conflicts got me in, so I guess you must be some kind of luxury. Why's it hurt to be found in the Middle East? People with throwing bombs across the city streets. If that's what you want, sorry I can't agree. Get a sorry, now I'm shut it down, though we can talk about it. Now you'll be funny, Hong Kong, that's not a thing. Who are you? Who are you? Who's hiding behind the scene? All I see is a beautiful dream turning a nightmare. Can I say hi? Yeah, Hong Kong, they all liars. Yeah, I'm talking about American democracy. They know nothing about love, just wars and casualties. And this is splitting. You know nothing about Chinese citizens. Now I got some words for the president.
Something's probably happening with Hong Kong.
Somebody minus the armor, must be starting a riot one day. I survived with this, and we stick together.
Something's probably happening with Hong Kong.
And the vice president,
Because Hong Kong is a part of China. They'll have to deal with that themselves. They don't need advice.
香港警察背后有10亿中国人，他们永远都是全香港的保护神。飞机坦克中国人一字一钉在，实质集结为了消灭恐怖分子随时待命。我看不见自由和平衡民主，我只看到恐怖分子那天用武器袭击把香港结束3次黄种预谋，这颠覆香港在我看来只是秋波漫长的谢幕表演。从苏联解体再到利比亚和埃及被颠覆，颜色革命也在香港全球拉开帷幕，要被扫进大气桶的垃圾自掘坟墓，跳梁小丑终究会被审判，会被铲除。武器一起对着敌人，而不是自己同胞，别随时都跟我们比划你的香港脚。这是长的安高佛一直在逗着笑，但是华人时光总是短暂，我们走着瞧。
Something's probably happening with Hong Kong.
somebody minus the armor, must be starting a riot one day. I survived with this, and we stick together.
Something's probably happening with Hong Kong.
And the vice president,